When we are on stage, we cannot go without thanking Professor Dr. John and of course to the organizing committee. Resilience, something that we will definitely do. What is resilience all about? Understanding it. It basically means bouncing back. But how many times can we bounce back in our life? So today I'm going to share with you resilience, bouncing back every time there is a challenge, big or small. And as we grow older, for me, as we grow older and live half a century, there are too many bouncing until to the stage that, am I going to bounce again? So let us look at what resilience is all about. Now I'm going to break my story into 5 segments, into 5 segments, basically into every XTEN. I call it the XTEN because it is also the meaning of extension of life. In every X 10 years, in a multiple of 10 years, that's what I'm going to share with you. Now, resilience is about bouncing back. But bouncing back to what? What builds us to bounce back in the right direction? Are we going to bounce back in a different direction or in which direction? Where does the resilience come from? Where is the foundation of resilience? So I believe this is the question that everything and everybody will ask here. Yeah, this is me. Can you see? Can you spot where am I? So, when we reflect back, or when I reflect back, my first 10 years, when I was first brought to the world, I'm a Perangian anyway, born in Pasir Putih. 1 year, 2 years back, 1 year, 2 years old, goes to Penang to follow my father's footsteps. He is also the pioneer who sets up USM in Penang. And this story tells you a little bit about values and tradition. We are from the old school, the Gen X. The values and traditions are very different. But of course, when we reflect back, these are the values, the sound values and principles that build us and who we are today. And my mother, and this is my grandfather, they are all from China. They hail from China. My grandfather came all the way to Malaya through Singapore back then in 1935, built up his little world here, got his work done, his income stabilized, built some network, and then he brought my mom, my aunt, and my grandmother from China to Malaya then, even before independence. That was back in 1945. Now what does this resilience mean? Not forgetting our roots. I think this is very important. My life direction, my life purpose, my life values very much anchored into what he has taught me. Never forget our roots, loyalty to the family, and so on. So he brought, when his comrades and those in the same boat in Malaya who came to Malaya, had second wife, third wife, fourth wife. So this teaches me one thing: loyalty is very important, regardless of what challenges. Everyone of us in life, there are so many challenges, especially with relationship, with friends, with family, with wife, spouse, husband, parents as well. But what does that mean? And what do we need to hold on to those relationships? And it is definitely a test of loyalty. So these are the sound values and principles that I had. Very traditional, and we are steadfast into that. And moving into my teen years, if you can see the blessing counter here, while there are many ways to motivate what we do, and I can share with you later on as we move along, you will know what really motivates me in what I do. And that is in the blessing counter. So back in my teens, I'm a very adventurous person. I go everywhere and I like to explore. And one of the very important historic event that I remember was during the Penang ferry tragedy in 1984-85. So that was a time when I wanted to go to the mainland, but the ferry was so crowded and I didn't know what happened. I went away, diverted from what I wanted to do, and went into the jungle myself. I love solo camping. Imagine going into the jungle alone at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, in the dark. So that is something that I'm fond of those days. And most of my early starts, alright, I call it the early planning, inspired by early planning. Sound values must be inspired by early planning. And I do remember at the age of 18, when I reached the age of 18, what we call the legal age, I did two things immediately. One, because we know what to do, because based on the values and principles, what we were taught and things like that. One, I bought my first insurance. How many of you bought your first insurance? I'm not selling insurance. How many of you bought your first insurance at the age of 18? Anyone? Yeah. Only one. Oh, okay. So that is what triggers me is looking into life far ahead. Things that are right, why not start it now? This is what I hold on. Things that are right, you know fairly well it is the right thing to do. Why holding on it? Might as well start it early. So early planning, doing the right thing first time is very important. That is what I learned and practiced even at a teenage time. Now at the age of 18, the second thing I did was, I went to the ROC, Registrar of Companies, and registered my first company. That was during my time at the college at Systematic Business Training Center. Even my teammate, my college mate is here. So at that point of time, my first business that I registered was doing odd job. And I was still in the college, and I did odd job. And remember, that is back in 1991. That was like what, 35, 34 years ago? Back in 1991. I was the only one in the college that proudly carries a Hutchinson pager with a handphone. Those days, Hutchinson pager is very, very gung-ho already, yeah? So, and those days, the handphone is just not like now. You have 5G, you can go anywhere, that you can get connected, the accessibility is there. But those days, you can only make a call only when you see a triangular sign by Telecom Malaysia at the lamppost. You have to get near to the lamppost, within 100 to 200 meters, then only you can make a call. And that is my communication for my business, doing all kinds of odd jobs, from painting to grass trimming to changing the toilet, electrical, plumbing, everything. So I went hands-on while doing my studies. So these days, when the new generations talk about, times are tough, and I can tell you one thing, times are tough, it is the only thing that I find consistently repeating every year as long as I have lived for the past 50 over years. Every year people are saying times are tough, times are tough. Next year will be tougher. So what does it tell us? Am I still around? Are you still around? You will be still around. So it is the tough situation that makes us more resilient. And resilience, to me, I wouldn't know what is resilience all about until I adapt to it. Change is one word, fine, but adapting is stronger than change, because change requires you to step out of the comfort zone. But if you can adapt, learn, and do what you are passionate about, like what I'm doing for the past 30 over years, then you will go the long way, the long distance. So in my teenage years, resilience is through early planning. Then in my early adulthood, I call it the early adulthood, resilience where you can bounce back better only when you are in the right circle of friends. So I believe in life, if you want to be someone, you have to be with those of the like-minded. If you want to be rich, what should you do? You should mix with rich people. So during the early adulthood, I mixed with the right circle, and the first circle that I mixed with at the age of 18, 19, even in the late teens, right into the mid-adulthood, two-person mix, the great turning point lesson learned for me. One is, we call him the father of palm oil, Tan Sri Augustine Ong. I think that Dr. Nagara is here. I was with the Malaysian Invention and Design Society since 1992-93. helping to grow inventions, innovations since then. Our patron is XTEN. That's where we promote invention and innovation during those days through Rakan Muda, if you still remember. So the second person that I am, indebted to was my ex-boss from Mary Brown. That's where we learn in the young adulthood, that's where we learn the tricks of tricks, the hard way. We go through hard work, whereas today we always debating about smart work and hard work, right? But for me, if you ask me, hard work always comes first because it tests your resilience and your bottom line. So in my adulthood, like I mentioned earlier, shaped by the right circle, the right people you mix with. Now, in the next 10 years, my guts becomes broader, more confident. So it brings me to the world. That's where my passion is driven by the passion to grow people through training and development. That's what I'm doing now as a coach, as an international speaker, as a coach and also as a trainer to help people grow in different aspects. I believe storytelling, sharing with people is very important, not forgetting the skills and also the mental thoughts that we must have, the thinking process. And I was talking with, Prof. Chong just now. I was in touch with UTAR all the way since 2016. When I dig back my, newspaper cutting. So it goes far, that's where we started to grow people at all ages. Now, what sparked your resilience and what motivates you? Everybody will have different answers. That's fine, that's fine. But guess what? What motivates me is death. I've experienced 7 times in life near-death experiences. Moving forward, in my last 10 years, not last 10 years, but the next 10 years, I go through, you see the blessing counter, 3 near-death misses. When you go through near-death misses, sorry, how do I go back then? Yeah, when you go through near-death misses, then you realize time is short, you have the urgency to do what you need to do. And when you are, anchored on a strong foundation of values and principles, and you do the right thing, I guarantee you one thing, fear is irrelevant. Alright? So you will dare to explore new frontiers, new things. That's where it brings me to different levels at different time. Now, what's the next 10 years? Now you know my age, 50s. So what's my next 10 years? If I'm lucky, another 10 years, and so on. So we don't know. If you ask me what resilience is about, I can tell you I don't know. But all I know is this. When I reflect back in the last 50 over years, what I have learned is this. Resilience begins, if you still remember, with sound values and principles. You get it from your education, from your peers, from your family, inspired by early planning. Don't stop, plan early. Shaped by the right circles, mixed with the right people. Driven by passion, that's your inner drive to grow. Remember, without fear, that's your power to grow. And of course, motivated by urgency of life, because we wouldn't know when life ends. So with that, I would like to share with you what, in a nutshell, what I do in my life. I always keep track of what I have achieved, what not. Rambo 5, if you watch the movie, it says, live for nothing or die for something. We all die one day. But the question is, have we achieved a meaningful life? Before I end, let me share with you this video.
In an ever-challenging and advancing world, professionalism is a key differentiator that defines the success of a person, a company, or even a government. Above all, integrity is the binder that builds trust, which in turn ensures consistency and continuity. While moral is self-sacrifice for ourselves, integrity is about self-sacrifice for others. Moral is about self. Integrity is about the larger humanity. Qualification and professionalism are hugely different. Qualification is about what we claim we have. Professionalism is what others say that we have. Now, qualification defines the right things. Professionalism makes things right. Between professionalism and qualification is the right act. As a man is not judged by the degree he has, but by the degree of his integrity. Act right, be the professional today.
Thank you. With that, happy, enjoying your life, and most importantly, explore the new frontier like you haven't before. Thank you.